Hi, welcome to North of 48. It's February 28th, and it's 8 degrees above zero here in beautiful northern Canada, or soon to be the northern states, which would be kind of neat. We're going to start off with a winter photo. This is in Russia.
What's the point of that?
Point of that was the guy. You seen how the guy was slowed down and then he hit her because it was taking too long.
Yeah,
It's the Russian way, man.
that's kind of a bigot thing to say.
Is it? Is it really?
Yeah, it is.
Jim Earl's with us today, and Martha.
There's a real bigoted thing to say
Well, it's
about
it's
millions and millions of people.
Well, you know what? What did you heard what happened over in the White House today, right?
Yeah, that's got nothing to do with pedestrians being mowed down by cars, which happens every day here in this country, and most car-infested capitals around the world. That's just the.
You are
that's just the fact of a car-centric society in which we live in.
You are just a ray of sunshine, Jim.
I'm not the one showing somebody getting hit by a car in Russia and blaming that on Russian culture. I don't get that at all.
No, I'm blaming it on the Russian guy in the Russian car.
Okay.
That's what I'm blaming.
Okay. I'm glad you cleared that up.
You're welcome. Here's JD.
This entire meeting, you said thank you. You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war,
He's not speaking loudly. He's not speaking loudly. Your country is in big trouble.
Can I
Wait
answer?
a minute. No. You've done a lot of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning. You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of coming out okay because of us.
Mr. President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
you haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet,
you
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this cabinet.
We gave you, through this stupid president, $350 billion.
You voted
we gave
for
you
your
military equipment,
you
and you
voted
men
for
are
your
brave,
president.
but they had to use our military.
What about
if you didn't have our military equipment,
you invited me
if you didn't have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3 days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days. This is something
maybe
new.
less.
In 2 weeks, of course, yes.
Jim?
Yes?
Thoughts, Jim?
What do you want me to say? But
I don't know.
I think that's disgraceful. It's horrific. It's stupid.
Oh, you think it's horrific? Wait, there's more.
I mean, what do you want me to say? I mean, you think I'm gonna? I don't understand.
Well, I just you caught everybody by surprise. And I tell you, it was. Anyways, here we go. Here's the second one.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. Right now, you're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. That's back to you far more than a lot of people said they should have.
In front of cameras and reporters, a meeting between Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and U.S. President Donald Trump descending into chaos Friday afternoon. The final 10 minutes of the event turning into a tense exchange. It began with sharp words from U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance after an impassioned Zelensky urged caution using diplomacy with Russia, insisting its president Vladimir Putin could not be trusted.
He broken this ceasefire. He killed our people, and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy JD, you are speaking about.
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine? That you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Come once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this.
Again,
I tell you.
Just say thank you.
I said a lot of times.
The White House meeting was initially meant to finalize a minerals deal that would finance the reconstruction of war-torn Ukraine. Zelensky expected to sign it shortly after the pair had spoken with media. But the blowout cutting his visit short, Zelensky leaving with the deal unsigned and an expected press conference with Trump canceled.
Just as an American, as a fellow American, it's just embarrassing that the only hero in the Oval Office, the only decent human being for that matter, is the Ukrainian.
Somebody asked me, am I embarrassed about Trump? I have never been more proud of the president. I was very proud of J.D. Vance, standing up for our country.
In a later post to social media, Trump calling the meeting meaningful, writing, quotes, "It's amazing what comes out through emotion, and I have determined that President Zelensky is not ready for peace if America is involved, because he feels our involvement gives him a big advantage in negotiations. I don't want advantage, I want peace." On X, Zelensky simply thanking the president, Congress, and the American people, writing, quote, "Ukraine needs a just and lasting peace, and we are working exactly for that."
They're working for that. So the Ukrainian mineral deal, I went through it last night and listened to some commentators. It was probably better than what they could have hoped. And I had thoughts that they were going to just come in, sign it. Should Zelensky have wore a suit? Maybe, maybe not. Trump is such a narcissist that's you have to bow down to him, but Zelensky did not. He left the White House. He's still in America. I don't know if they're going to sign a deal by the weekend, but that was some good TV, as Trump would say. Wouldn't you agree, Jim Earl?
No, I thought it was very bad TV.
Yeah, it made me cringe. Made me cringe.
Really, made me cringe too. I think it's irresponsible, it's sickening.
I agree, and there's a lot of commentators out on the YouTubes tonight who say it a lot better than I do. But how's the price of your eggs nowadays, Jim?
I don't know. We don't buy them.
Oh, that's vegan eggs. You need some vegan eggs. That's what you need.
Nah, we don't need eggs.
Right. Well, hey, it's a funniest thing I heard is America's has an egg shortage, and they're thinking about coming to Canada to fill up their egg shortage. So I was wondering about the tariffs that are coming on next week. Does that mean egg prices even go higher in the States? And then, nobody thought about this, that if Canada didn't put tariffs on, like reciprocal tariffs, we'd probably be in a lot better position, because if you only put 25% tariff on, our dollar's worth like 75 cents to the American dollar. You guys wouldn't even notice it, hardly. You're paying a full price American dollar for whatever item. If we don't put tariffs on, then our stuff's still cheaper. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen.
It doesn't make any sense.
It does not, and that
it's just another rageaholic controlling our lives. And,
right.
Malignant narcissist, rageaholic controlling our lives, like, kind of like usual. Yeah.
I think you guys have always had, well, I won't say always, but batshit crazy presidents. This one really takes the cake here, and he's all made for TV. So he's got, do you believe, Jim Earl, can I call you that?
No, you can't. Please call me Mr. Earl.
Okay. Do you think that Trump has a Russian code name? I could see that happening. Krasnov. I don't know if he'd be a Russian agent, but he'd be somebody they could manipulate, I would think, eh?
He's I don't know what a Krasnov means. I don't know any of that.
Well, that was the Russian code name, according to some guy on Facebook.
Yeah.
And you can always believe Facebook.
Yes. Well, I can't comment on things people say on Facebook without seeing any real sources and stuff like that. That would be kind of foolish and make me look even dumber than I am.
You should spend some more time on Facebook then.
I was trying to stay off Facebook today, in a gesture.
Stay up to date there, buddy.
In a gesture of solidarity with somebody.
Oh, okay.
But I guess nobody takes anything seriously, not even enough to.
Right.
The
big news today, though, is Google replaced the Gulf of America name with the Gulf of second place hockey teams now. So I thought that was kind of cool. Just wanted to. You probably don't. Do you know what hockey is, Jim?
That's the thing where a bunch of rageaholics get on ice and hit each other with sticks.
Yes, it's a beautiful sport, buddy. It's a beautiful sport. I got one more Zelensky, what he's got hanging up, and he sent to schools and stuff. Says, I do not want my picture in your offices. The president is not an idol, an icon, or a portrait. Hang your kids' photo instead, and look at them each time you are making a decision. Vladimir Zelensky, 2019 inaugural speech.
That's a nice thought.
It is, isn't it, eh?
Mm-hmm.
So you got what happened today in the White House, man, oh man, oh man. That was just incredibly bad. It was sad. Should he have wore a suit like the
No, he doesn't have to fucking wear a suit. I mean, what is this, a costume party or something? Yeah, no, that's idiotic.
Please, sir, can I have a javelin? Maybe you should attempt, but no, he wears that outfit because his country's at war, and that's what he said. He'll wear a suit after the war's over. I think the ticker to on the clock, the doomsday clock, is probably a little closer to midnight.
Well, that's what a sign of that is. People on social media calling for the U.S. to bomb Moscow and take out all of Russia's leaders. That's
the first I've heard of this, Jim. Is it in social media?
Yeah.
That's the first time I've heard that.
No, I think it was on CNN or MSNBC last night. We had a couple of former, I think it was Biden or Obama White House officials saying that we should send troops in to defend Ukraine. So that, American troops.
American troops. No, I don't think you need to send American troops.
Well, that's the way that's what happens with proxy wars. Just what happened.
Well, I think first Vietnam, you send in the French, right?
Iraq.
You send in the French, then the British, then the Polish, then the American troops. Okay. Yeah. Well, I have a MAGA clip for you because MAGA's just been. So this is at one of them congressman meetings.
Elon Musk and the president have agreed that if there is any potential conflict of interest, and it's clear today that some people don't believe that would happen.
It's your job
in the next election to elect someone that you believe.
We didn't elect anyone. Remember your own. You're a violation of your own.
Just 39% of independents approve of the role that he currently has. Take a look here, though. What takes the cake? 54% disapprove. 54%, a considerably higher disapproval rating than Donald Trump has currently. As I've said before, if anything is going on right now, it's Elon Musk dragging Donald Trump down.
When Musk delivered the infamous gesture that many described as a Nazi salute.
That Nazi sign, that was too much for me. Too much for me. I mean, I canceled immediately my Cybertruck, and both of my Tesla are actually up for sale right now.
And say that is enough.
The end result of the fraud and abuse that has been discovered already.
President Trump has issued a lot of executive orders. I think by and large this is moving very quickly compared to other administrations, and I think across the board he's done some very good things. I think he's gotten rid of birthright citizenship.
Illegal as hell.
But what is going on right now today is the House of Representatives and the Senate are totally abdicating their responsibility. You stand here and say, I'm not sure about that, or I'm not sure about that. You put up, frankly, some of these slides are very misleading. Let's talk about the Trump tax cut. How much of that deficit in that jump from 22 up was the tax cuts to the incredibly rich people of the world who are now in our White House and dismantling our government? You are an attorney. You are an officer of the court, in addition to swearing an oath to our Constitution, and yet, well, you and so many of your colleagues are just sitting around watching. Well, I don't know. We'll see what happens next month.
So I've got one more MAGA video to show you, Jim, or are you sick of them already?
No, go ahead.
Okay, we're going to do it, man.
Tell me they're lying right now because of what the you mean that I'm not going to get my SNAP benefits? What the do you mean?
We are possibly going to lose our farm if NRCS doesn't hold up their contract with us on the EQIP program. Because of the executive orders, there's a pause or a freeze on the funding, and they're not able to pay out on the stuff that we completed or anything going forward.
Beyond betrayed. They used us during the campaign, the elected officials from the Republican Party. They actually told us that it was not going to touch the documented people.
I never thought this day will come. Well, I'm going to regret what I did. I really regret voting for this guy. I'm working on this program for the sound power phones batteries. We're researching these batteries for these sound power phones, and they cut off our funding.
Okay, so that brings me up to a point here, Jim. So during the election, a lot of people did not want to vote for Kamala, and they stayed home. Are they to blame for the mess right now?
No,
or is it
no.
the DNC for not having a good candidate? And plus, you have Trump, who's obviously, well, he's a liar, but a narcissist, and everybody knew that coming in, and yet he still got 49% of the votes.
He won by a very small margin.
Yes.
Relatively speaking. The Democrats have lost two of the most easiest elections in the history of this country, what should have been the easiest elections, because they pushed terrible candidates and didn't speak to what people wanted and completely abandoned their traditional base, which Ralph Nader pointed out over 40 years ago, when they actually abandoned their base in favor of the same donors that controlled the Republican Party. So it's Democrats have been forewarned, and they knew this kind of thing could happen for 40 years now, and they never change. They didn't learn anything in 2016. They didn't learn anything in 2020, and they didn't learn anything in 2024. Hakeem Jeffries is the most useless.
What do you think about his comments about their don't message us, don't phone us, let us do our job in peace, is what Hakeem Jeffries was saying, because his district was phoning him and stuff.
Yeah, well, that's enabling. That's
right.
Complicitness with fascism.
He's also taking some donations from SpaceX, Elon Musk's, and there was another one by Peter Thiel's group. They've taken some donations into the Democratic Party. So if these guys are still funding the Democratic Party and they're funding Donald Trump, How can you trust the Democrats at this time?
You can't, and that's the whole point. Democrats, everybody, all the Democratic leadership should have been cast away in the dumpster in 2016. But they never were. And 2024, what in the hell, Nobody learned anything, and yet the same shit stains, enabling, feckless, moronic, self-destructive, complacent, obedient individuals are still in charge of the Democratic Party.
Can you tell us how you really feel, Jim?
Well, I'm kind of here or there,
Right. Things going to change. Bernie's out on the campaign trail right now. Well, sorry, campaign trail. He's out in Republican districts, and he's drumming up a lot of support for take on the oligarch tour, I guess you could call it.
Well, again, I don't know what good that's going to do. Because who is he speaking to? He should be speaking to the Democratic Party leadership. That's who he should, We all know what Republicans want to do and who they are.
Right.
And we know how horribly evil they are.
But I thought the United States
we know that.
I thought the United States has this wonderful check and balance. And no, like a president couldn't be like a king or a dictator and stuff. Yet he's doing things that are obviously illegal.
Mm-hmm.
Terminating people at their employment when it's the act of Congress that's supposed to be able to do that, and the heads of the departments. Where's your check and balances here, buddy?
I don't know, bro. I think you should ask. Look in the past and what presaged this, and all of the doors that were opened. I keep saying this over and over and over again. All the doors that were open, all the powers to the president that were opened for the likes of Donald Trump to abuse by Barack Obama and
Joe Biden.
And now it's coming back to bite them in the ass, and they don't care about it.
Right.
These people are, Barack Obama, his family has got $60 to $100 million. He'll live through this in comfort. He'll be fine. And so will his kids. Joe Biden, he's fine. I don't even know if he knows where he is right now. So he'll have fine nursing care. What does he care? He's not out there saying anything. Why isn't he out there with AOC, the old AOC, doing a sit-in?
Yeah.
In congressional offices. Whatever
happened
to that?
Putting on his comfortable walking shoes and going on the picket line.
I mean, you asked me earlier what should be done, I believe, in civil disobedience, mass strikes. You should have people in leadership they still have any kind of bully pulpit in the Democratic Party calling for mass worker strikes and energizing the people. Bernie Sanders could be doing that.
Yeah.
He could be saying, you know what? Your problem isn't just the Republican Party and Donald Trump. It is the people who enabled him, the Democratic Party. They are not doing anything. They're helping him still, and they're refusing to fight.
So after 2016, everybody was out on the streets and stuff, and remember the pussy hats and all that. I don't see anything like that happening now. Mind you, there was a big protest last weekend, thousands of people, which was nice to see. How do you put heat on the Republicans right now, besides civil disobedience? I don't think you can. Are Americans too soft now to want to get involved, and they just want 4 years, it'll be done, it'll be over with. But hey, wait, he wants to run a third term, and they're going to try to push it through Congress. I don't think it'll work because all the states would have to agree by 2/3 margin, right? So, but you never know. The way the Republicans are going, they'll take over a couple more states.
I think Republicans will do what Republicans have always said they will do, and the only thing that will stop them is a party full of people who try to stop them, and we don't have that right now.
Right.
There are a lot of people in the streets protesting. You don't see that in the national news. You see that on venues like Democracy Now, maybe. but you don't see that on national news. It's not reported, and it's frowned upon by people in the Democratic Party because it's not civil enough.
Well, just an observation. The NBCs, the CBSs, and stuff, they're not as vocal as like Fox. Fox is going all in with some criticism of Trump, mind you, but they're all in. And I don't hear anything coming out of mainstream media too much, except shock and surprise. I mean, there's really nothing going on now. Joy Behar got fired from MSNBC, and she was really terrible with Bernie in the 2016.
Joy Reid. Joy
Reid.
Joy Behar too.
Yeah, you're right. I got confused. Joy Reid, and she was really terrible. But it does look like anybody who has a progressive voice or slightly progressive voice is getting taken off the news now.
Yes.
Right, because in Trump's America,
we don't have any real journalism, and there's nothing wrong with journalism having an opinion or a voice or a slant, but NBC, CBS, and ABC, and PBS for that matter, they cater to whoever's in charge, and that's the way it's always been. Whoever's in charge of a war, they report that war like diehard fans, and they never challenge the status quo, to use cliches, and that's the way it is. And
so you
MSNBC got rid of Joy Reid, I believe, because she was one of the few voices criticizing Israel.
And maybe, yeah,
talking about genocide and war crimes.
Right. So in your part of the country right now, you live in Maine, Lower Canada. How are people taking it? Do you get out much at all, or has it been too cold, or have you talked to people, or have you listened to people? Because knowing you start talking, you're going to get in an argument. Not necessarily. I'm just joking.
Nice. Yeah, you are such a provocateur. Just reminds me of the old days. With you know what who. Anyway,
when the world was safe.
But we have somebody who's a very, very nice person, otherwise, except for they're a diehard Trump fan.
Right.
And they're about to be sadly surprised and confronted with reality. And she can tell you all about that. She knows them better than I ever have.
Okay. Do you know how much Canada is disliking Americans right now?
Not as much as I dislike America, but I'm proud of them for it.
Yeah,
I watched that hockey game in Montreal. Yeah.
Oh, that one. I actually enjoyed that one with the fisticuffs.
Yeah, the first 3 minutes I thought were the most entertaining 3 minutes of sports I've ever watched.
That's right. And this is coming from a pacifist yet. So
I know, that's why I don't like team sports, because it just brings out the animal in people.
So in Florida and in Arizona, Canadians are selling their houses like big time that they own there. So much so that the Florida housing market has now, the prices are dropping. That's how many Canadians are moving out.
I knew the prices were dropping pretty badly, but I didn't know it was because of the Canadians.
I just heard that today, so apparently, yeah.
Well, that's great. That's good news. That's people taking action.
Right. I have a couple of friends in Arizona right now, so I can't wait till they get back up here. They're snowbirds, and I'll have to ask them how it is down there. But one guy's in a trailer park down there because it's cheap, and he says there's like 70% Canadians in there.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So.
In Arizona or Florida?
In Arizona. My part of the country, people go down to Arizona. The east part, they go down to Florida. And
did not know that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. There was houses compared to up here were actually rather cheap at one time there. So, and you get a swimming pool and everything.
My grandfather died because of Arizona.
Why?
He went there for his asthma and then discovered, in 1920, and then discovered that it was terrible. There are flowers everywhere. Some doctor told him you need drier weather. And a lot of people went there, in Arizona, New Mexico, for their health, supposedly. And then they discovered that at one time of the year, you have all this huge blooming that goes on. And
well, northern Alberta's like that. It's dry. And if you leave Alberta, you look 6 years younger because you get the moisture then. But it's good for your asthma up here. But we have flowers too, so in the spring. Good old Arizona.
You're going to have a lot more flowers because of global warming, so look forward to that.
Well, right now, the snow is almost melted, and this is unusual. We'll probably get a March sled of snow in March. But like it's 8 degrees Celsius, which is what, 30, 40s Fahrenheit? Now, that's really unusual. For this time of year up here. Highly unusual. Well, you can't even use the ice rinks right now, the outdoor ice rinks we have.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because they're all melting.
Well, it's about 10 degrees above average or normal here, too.
Rodrigo, how's Mexico going right now?
It's very amusing. Our government has just begun to find out how many pictures there are of cartel leader El Mayo Zambada's lawyer and his boss with all of the upper crust of the AMLO people, so that's fun.
Really? Your Mexican, is she a prime minister or president? President. She's been doing a wonderful job with Trump, being able to keep his narcissism down. What's her secret? How does she get along with Trump so well?
She has practiced handling narcissism. Her previous boss was one, a very thin-skinned one too.
All right. And how's the weather down there, Rodrigo?
It's starting to rain again, which is kind of surprising, but, climate change.
Right. That's why my friends go to Cabo, because I think you're far from there, right?
We have some time. I wanted to say a couple things.
Sure. Jim, you good with that?
Sure, of course. Yes.
Rodrigo, you go ahead, my friend.
Trump's guy for the...
Rodrigo, the floor is yours.
Deportation of immigrants is threatening to put AOC in jail for teaching migrants that they have rights. And also today, you probably didn't hear about it, people are organizing online to do today in the United States a don't buy anything day. So they bought stuff the day before, so I don't know how much of a difference it will make, but they try to send a message with that. And obviously, we're not going to hear about it on the news. And I had a question for Jim Earl. Rebecca Watson made a video last week saying that she will not be welcoming the former MAGA to the hashtag resistance because she's not a far leftist, but she says that the people who are living MAGA right now have learned nothing. They're just surprised that the leopards are eating their faces too, but they're okay with all the oppression of minorities as long as they don't get their own. And I was wondering how Jim Earl feels about that.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question fully.
That we shouldn't welcome the people who say they're no longer for Trump because as soon as they believe that Trump's people aren't coming for them, they're going to vote MAGA again.
Well, it's hard to tell with them because they think, a lot of them think that he's never going to touch Social Security or veterans funds or Medicare or Medi-Cal, and they actually believe it when he says something like that. And then the next minute, they're planning on cutting 7,000 workers from Social Security and slashing Medicaid and Medi-Cal. I think that some of these people are just going to, if something bad happens to them, because of what Trump is doing, they're going to blame it not on Trump. They're going to blame it on Democrats for somehow. They're never going to be changed. They're never going to see reality because I think they're just permanently in a cult. You know, some more reasonable ones may have a change of heart, but it's hard to tell. I mean, right now, I'd be more concerned about trying to get back all the voters that Democrats lost over the last 40 years, who are honest to goodness leftists, who care about rights and care about immigrants and care about the world, care about climate change. And I think a lot of those people could be re-energized with a good message and a good candidate and a good party.
A lot of those people are old now, Jim.
Well, they have children.
Yeah, this is true. I mean, they keep blaming the boomers, but I don't think that's necessarily true, that this is all to do with the boomers. At least I hope not, being a boomer myself.
Well, I'm a boomer, and I know plenty of boomers, and
just never had a position of influence on the country. It's usually the greatest generation's kids who had who've guided this. And for gosh sakes, I wonder if Trump's a boomer now that I think of it. He'll probably say he's the greatest generation, but I don't know when he was born. So, Alexa, when was Trump born?
Donald Trump was born on June 14th, 1946.
Ooh. I think he's right on the cusp there. You know,
if those records are correct.
If those records are correct, yeah. 1946.
Remember, isn't that Jeff Bezos talking to you?
I don't know. You know, that really pains me to see Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon, even Bill Gates went for a visit to the White House, and they're all in. Bill Gates, though, he's stepped aside. He doesn't want to be associated with MAGA, but I'm sure he's got his fingers in the pot. But that really, so you've got what, 4 people with more money than the bottom half of the population of America, right? And they're pulling the strings. Elon's doing all this crap. Part of what Trump is saying sounds good, right? Cut the waste and stuff. But they're not using a scalpel. They're not going through it to make sure that it's a good idea. They're just cutting. And part of the theory is that he wants to cut so he can make a $4.1 trillion deduction of taxes to the 1% in America. Do you think that's probably along the lines that they're doing?
Yes, that's exactly what they're doing. It's gaslighting. They don't want to cut waste. They just want to slash. They want to extract wealth from the poor and what's left in the middle class, and enrich themselves, and run the country like a corporation or fascism. That's what it is, and they're doing a pretty good job of it.
Yeah, they are. Now this Medicaid, was it Medicaid or Medicare vote that they had in Congress that got pushed to the Senate? What was it, $800 billion or $800 million wiped out, where people who were on SNAP or at the poverty line, all of a sudden they can't have Medicaid?
I don't know what the particulars are with that. I thought it was slashing everything, the budget.
But that was something that Lyndon Johnson brought in back in the 60s, I believe. And now they're slashing that as part of what, Project 2025, which I haven't sat down and read it. I just know that the people involved are mean. And
this is something an FDR started, and it's and Lyndon Johnson solidified and added to all the programs, safety nets for people, and then you have people like presidents like Clinton and Obama come along, and they and Joe Biden as a senator helped gut welfare and start to cut Social Security and pledge to cut Medicare and Social Security and Medicaid 4 times on the floors of Congress, like Biden did. So there are a lot of precedents set here for someone like Donald Trump to come in and just pounding the last nail in the coffin.
So as an American, do you now have high blood pressure? Are you on pills now?
Not yet, not that I know of.
Good. You keep your humor, Jim. You keep it under control, eh? We need you out there fighting the good fight.
Well, that's why I write my obituaries.
Have you written one for Donald Trump yet? Just curious.
Not yet. It's that's a very hard one to do, I think.
With Elon's science, he might be able to keep Trump alive for a long time.
Maybe so.
Maybe 5 terms.
Martha pointed out during that press conference that Trump's face just turned beet red, it seemed, and that's not a good sign for blood pressure.
No, it isn't. And the way he shrinks, the way he sits now, it's not a strong position. He's humped over. It looks like he's tired. He's had quite a few conferences or conversations where he's kind of mumbling, and he's just, I think he's still a reality TV star, the way he's doing things. And the way they're doing things is right out of Bannon's playbook, where he said, go out and make 3 news items a day and just overwhelm people, right? And that's the point we're at now. I think a lot of people are just overwhelmed with the crap that's going on.
Well, that's the whole strategy, I guess. Shock and awe, right?
It's working. Jim,
it's frustrating.
Is there anything you would like to say to our viewers about what's going on in America, what your hopes are, what your dreams are? What do you think is going to happen? Or are you just you're going to save it for next time?
Well, what do you think is going to happen? That's what I'd like to know from you, a Canadian.
Well, a Canadian. I'm kind of biased because I have a few American friends. I've always been to the point I don't want to go to America, and I've thought that for a long time. Or a couple of times, we've got a lady who was going to Orlando for the Disney park there, Disneyland Park, and she cut off her, she canceled the trip, lost $1,500, but rebooked for the Asterix park in Paris.
Good for her.
Yeah. So I think you're going to see a lot of that. A lot of Canadians used to go down to Disneyland in California, especially on my side of the country.
Well, in Maine, we've got a lot of Canadians come down here for the summer, and if they don't come down, that's a huge part of the state's revenue.
Right. Well, the airlines are saying already there's been a huge cut in traffic to there, and I know as well as a lot of people, they look to see if it's made in Canada before they purchase. There's like ravioli. It's made in America, and they're trying to sell it like cheap now. There's case lot sales at the Walmarts and the superstores on ravioli because people aren't buying them. So,
well, I don't know what's going to happen. I think Donald Trump is not averse to completely sabotaging and destroying everything to boost his ego. And we saw that in that news conference where he had his little suck-up Vice President Goebbels there egg him on into an argument with Zelensky, or they planned that. I don't know. I don't. But either way, it's he just sabotaged that whole prospective agreement, and so he's not averse to destroying if he can't get his way. It's kind of like Hitler, he wanted to flood all of Holland.
Right. Stalin was a lot like that too.
Stalin, yeah.
Yeah, if he didn't get his way, off to the gulag.
Churchill?
Well, yeah, but
he wanted to destroy all of Germany.
Yeah, and Russia too.
Andrew Jackson, several presidents during the Native American genocide that we committed here.
Right. It was Andrew Jackson who took a knife to the budget of the United States, and half his cabinet quit. And his only regret was he didn't shoot some of them when he retired as president. So, but he was, he was elected twice. So,
well, this country loves cowboys. You're talking about Jackson or Johnson?
So I think it was Jackson. I'll have to, for our viewers, I'm just going to say Google it. because you want to know your facts before you talk, unlike me.
I'm going to say duck, duck, go it. So you don't use
duck, duck, go it.
You don't give any business to Jeff Bezos.
Right. Oh, Bitcoin. Trump had his hands in some Bitcoin, did he? Have you heard about this?
No.
And it collapsed, but he withdrew a whole bunch of money. Like he has really enriched himself between since he was president and the last 4 years, and he's still doing so.
That's what this is all about.
Yeah.
You know, I pointed out a real good commentator and expert on genocide and whatnot made the point that he does not think that Donald Trump is a fascist. He thinks he is just, Donald Trump doesn't have any ideology. You know, fascist.
Did Tucker say that?
No. It's Donald Trump doesn't have any ideology, and fascists at least have an ideology. It's fascism. Donald Trump doesn't even have the intellect to freaking know what fascism is. Basically, he's just out for himself, and that's as good or bad as fascism, in my opinion.
All right.
You know, it's the same kind of result: destruction, enrichment.
Well, Jim, let us hope that things get better. I don't know if the American people are going to rise up and say it's enough of this stuff, or
they have to.
Donald Trump appears to have some brown shirts around him too now, right? Some people who drag people out of town halls or that are for Trump.
Yeah.
You know,
but they lost their license. They lost their
good. You know, in France, in Paris, because I remember seeing a documentary by our friend Falco. They used to have a gang who was anti-Nazi, and they used to go around beating up Nazis. Used to be a big war up in Paris, right? Maybe perhaps we'll see that again. I'm not sure.
That's what should be done to Nazis. Sorry, you know.
Punch a Nazi.
Well, what else are you going to do? You can't debate with a Nazi.
Yeah. There's a black town. It was in the paper a couple of days ago. A bunch of white supremacists went there, and a whole bunch of black guys with guns came out, and the white supremacists left. Imagine how that gun rights helps people sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, so.
Well, you know, if you're going to have guns for everybody, should they truly have guns for everybody, or it's not a free country? But I think we should ban guns.
Yes, Canada, be like Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and that's the biggest thing is a lot of Canadians say we don't want you. Well, obviously you don't want your war machine, don't want your ghetto scenes. Sparkle somebody else's eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Jim, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.